the French Grand Prix, the circuit for round 7 of this season of My Team Career Motocross GT Racing. Heading into this race, we'd just come off a big win in Canada in round 6, which ended up putting us 2 points ahead of Max Verstappen in the driver's standings. We were looking to continue that form and pull away with a bit more of a lead heading into round 8, the final round before the mid-season break. And we had a good start. We managed to get pole for the race. Michael Schumacher also putting a good performance, P6 at the end of qualifying. Race didn't start off too well. We ended up getting overtaken by both Red Bulls. However, Schumacher did manage to get up to P5. So we were on track for a good position. Double podium was on offer if we could fight our way up to the front. And we had some good pace. We managed to get a good overtake on Verstappen on lap 3. Verstappen was the Red Bull that had the most pace. Once we managed to get past him, Perez was, I wouldn't say easy picking, but it was a little bit easier to catch up to Perez and move ahead of him. So all was looking really good. Really good pace in the car. We had just put new components onto the car, all new engine parts into the car before round 6. So our car was in as good a form as we could have it at this point. And yet somehow we still managed to have a severe mechanical failure. Power unit, as you can see here, smoking away as we let Max Verstappen run away with first place. This was lap 5, so only a few laps into the race, and control electronics component was the part that failed, and that was the part that we took a grid penalty for in the previous round. That was a brand new component we put on for Canada, so that was very upsetting for us. Schumacher, on the other hand, had a great race and managed to come back with a P2 for the team, so really good result for him. Not such a good result for us. But that's okay. Max now 23 points ahead of us in the standings. We're now in Austria for round 7, or round 8, sorry. Round 7 was the last one. We are now in Austria for round 8. Very short, very high speed circuit. One that I feel is much better suited for our car, although the French Grand Prix has been good for us in previous seasons. But Austria is a fun one. Really short, really high speed track. Not overly technical, so a lot of fun to race around in. We finished our first lap. P6, sitting right behind Bottas in that Mercedes, and just ahead of Ricciardo, who hasn't had the greatest luck this season since his his race victory in the season opener in Bahrain. But we're putting on a good time here. Purple through sector 2. We just lose the front end of the car a little bit, hitting that curbing coming out of sector 2. So that lap, we ended up giving up on that one, obviously, and went back to the pits, back to check the setup for the car, back out to redo lap 2. We're currently sitting P12, but we are 9 tenths up heading through sector 2. We go wide again through sector 2, really pushing it through there. Purple yet again. I don't know how many of the drivers at this point have done times, but I think a lot of the front teams have put banker laps in, so purple through sector 2 is great for us. Sector 3, bit of an issue. The AI can go flying through there without easing off the throttle. We, on the other hand, cannot. So we lose a bit of time there. Trying to push the car too much, we go wide on both those corners, but we do end up getting P4. Schumacher is P3, right behind the current Drivers' Championship leader, Max Verstappen. Purple through sector 2 yet again on our 3rd lap, 6 tenths up. This is a really good run for us. A much better run, well, I will say a much better run, but we did manage to do a little bit better through sector 3. Bit of a track limits warning. I do slow down there because I don't really want that time to be validated because of the track limit warning. but it does anyway. It's not that much faster. It was only about a tenth and a half up on our previous one. We do go ahead of Schumacher. Sainz is currently sitting on pole. The Ferrari probably favouring this track over some of the other ones we've been through this season. We carry on straight out on lap 4. We don't go back to the pits. We are down at the moment. We're down a couple of tenths through sector 2. But I'm not too worried about that. We are going to have a much better run out of sector 2 here. And our run through sector 3 is a lot better. And we are going to get more time up to the line because of the delta we set for the last lap. And it does give us enough to go provisional pole at this point. Another track limit warning there at the end. So we managed to hold on to pole. We don't improve our time after that. We do finish ahead. Max Verstappen does overtake Carlos Sainz starting P2. Schumacher maintains P4. So really good result there for the team. And hopefully we can have a much better result in the race than we had in the last round.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. Not long to go before our drivers hurtle off the line and into the first turn, the Niki Lauda curve, as it was renamed in 2019 in memory of one of Formula One's most beloved figures. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. The captain lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Sainz, Michael Schumacher, George Russell and Bottas, Perez, Gasly, Leclerc and Lando Norris, Ocon, Tsunoda, Lewis Hamilton and Stroll, Schwartzman, Latifi, Antonio Giovinazzi and Christian Lundgaard, Mick Schumacher, Mazepin, Ricciardo, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Guan Yu Zhou. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
So there is the driver grid lineup for this race. The only grid penalty by the looks of things, Ricciardo starting down in P21. 2 stop today, soft, medium, medium. We will see how we go with that as the race goes on. We're starting on pole, 5 red lights here in Austria, and we're off and away for round 8 of this season. Not the greatest start, a better start than we normally have. Verstappen goes ahead of us. Schumacher's right beside us. Jumps all the way up into P3. I think he was starting back in P5 maybe? I can't. So I just saw the driver lineup and I can't even remember where he started. But he's now up into P3. We managed to go around the outside of Verstappen at turn 3. We are now P1 in this race. Hopefully we can maintain this. Cross GT Racing P1 and P3. Current Drivers' Championship leader Max Verstappen in P2 here at Red Bull's home track in Austria. The fans will probably be looking to see Max increase his lead in the standings, hopefully bring home a win for their team. But we want to rain on that parade. We want to take a win away from him. We want some more points. We want to be able to claw back that lead that he's got in the championship, and hopefully we can keep Schumacher with us, get a double podium, and maybe start clawing back in the constructors as well. We'll have to wait and see as we stay ahead heading into lap 2. No DRS until next lap. So we go purple through sector 1. Now that we've got some clear air and we're all settling into our groove, we go a little bit wide there. Track limits warning on lap 2 through sector 2. But we managed to pull out a decent time. We go fastest lap and then Verstappen takes away from us straight away, going about a tenth faster than us in that previous lap. He's now going to have DRS, only 5 tenths behind us. Schumacher has fallen behind. He's now 1.5 seconds to Verstappen. So at this rate, it is going to be a 2-horse race here today. It's just going to be us and Verstappen battling it out for a win. Hopefully Schumacher can hold on to his position. Sainz has managed to jump back ahead of Bottas. We take the inside line down into turn 4. We managed to hold on and keep Verstappen at bay. I think that's turn 4. Must be. Through sector 2, we go a little bit wide. Red through sectors 1 and 2, just because we had to go defensive and we've had Verstappen putting all sorts of pressure on us. But we manage to keep him at bay again. He's now right behind us. 1/10 off us. He's looking to retake the lead here as he looks down the inside at turn 9, but he doesn't quite have the space to do it. He's not alongside us, he backs out. We go a little bit wide there coming out of turn 10, and that gives Verstappen an opening to take the lead. Turn 1, he goes a bit deep into turn 1 over the curbing, and it kind of throws him off a bit, and we plant ourselves right behind him on the inside up the hill into turn 3. We managed to take back P1, but Verstappen is probably going to have DRS here, and we are going to commit to a strategy change here. So the tyres definitely holding up a lot better than we thought. There's Schumacher. Schumacher's trying to take a look down the inside of us in turn 4, but he backs out, loses a bit of time there, but he still manages to maintain P3 as we go right into the back of Verstappen again. A little bit of contact, luckily no damage to the front wing, but we'll be staying out a little bit longer on these softs, and we'll be going on to another set of softs later on, and hopefully we can get in front of Verstappen and then pull away on that second set of softs, build a lead before we go into the mediums, and then hopefully just maintain that lead all the way to the end. A little bit cheeky there going through turn 1, a little bit of a cut, no warning though. And now this time, heading up the hill into turn 3, we go around the outside of Verstappen, we brake really late. He has a quick little look up the inside, but gives us the space. We're back in P1, and just as we make the overtake, we've got a safety car. Nicholas Latifi is out of this race, and it looks like one of the Aston Martins is involved there. I don't have a replay of it, but from what I gather, it is, I do believe it is Schwartzman. I think Albon was ahead of him. So Schwartzman having an incident with Latifi, and Latifi is now out of this race. We're going to be coming into the pits next lap, so I can only assume that that means that Schumacher is coming in this lap, and yes, he is. Schumacher's going to the pits now. He is going probably, I would assume, onto another set of mediums, doing a 2-stop. Bit long to be running on the hards. We have changed our pit strategy back to soft, medium under the safety car. Makes sense to get a free pit stop here while we can. Oh, pushing the limits, they're heading into pit lane. Almost a penalty there, but we managed to get in a good time. The pit stop probably about a second slower than we wanted it to be, but not that it would have made any difference anyway. Even if we did get that extra second back, we would still be sitting at the back of the pack. So we're going to rejoin at the back of the pack, but the safety car has stayed out another lap, so it still works out fine for us. Schumacher not losing out so much. He's sitting, I think he's sitting around P10 at the moment. He's in the middle of the pack, so he's still looking pretty good on fresh mediums. I don't think anyone else pitted under the safety car, so we're going to have a relatively good run. I think we're going up through the grid as we make quick work of Guan Yu Zhou heading into turn 1. Now eyeing up Schumacher and the Haas into turn 3. We get up the inside of Schumacher, up the inside of Lundgaard as well. But we have a really bad line coming out of that corner, and we lose a lot of time to Hamilton. But we do manage to gain 2 positions in one straight heading up the hill into turn 3. As now we catch up to Hamilton and Schwartzman, both fighting through sector 3. Hamilton loses out there. Schwartzman takes the inside line. We have a little bit of a look up the inside there, but think better of it. But our line is compromised heading out of the final corner. Turn 1, we're strong through here. We get a good line on the inside of Hamilton. We get past Hamilton. We're up in P17 now. Hamilton not having a very good season this year. We get up the outside of Schwartzman, who brakes very early. We give him the space. Little bit of a slide there, but we managed to get 2 positions in one straight. Schwartzman and Hamilton both being overtaken as we take a look at the replay. So we do take turn 1 very tight there on the throttle early. Hamilton just falls off. Schwartzman follows the racing line, but then sticks to the inside, goes defensive. We brake very late. He takes a dart up the inside of the corner. We managed to keep control of the car and up into P17 now. Sector 2, very strong for us. We make quick work of Nikita Mazepin there in the Haas. There's another position. We are working our way through the pack to try and get back up the front. Car's feeling great. It's handling really well. Schumacher there, 2 positions ahead of us in P14. And we've got Russell in that Alpine. He's been pretty quick so far this season. Been really good in qualifying for this race. We're going to gain DRS on him. Looks like everyone is still reasonably close. It's still a bit of a train here. We make a massive dive up the inside. There's 3 cars we overtake, maybe a 4th one. We don't quite get the 4th, but we overtake Russell, our teammate, and also Daniel Ricciardo heading into turn 3. Giovinazzi, we just couldn't quite get him. Not a very good line there going through sector 2. We can't do a big jump on him until we get to that corner right there. No, corner number, I think it's turn 7. Pretty sure there's only 10 turns in this whole track, but we managed to get ahead. Now we've got some of the other cars coming into the pit, some of the front runners. We've got the McLaren of Lando Norris and the Ferrari Charles Leclerc heading into the pit. So it looks like the front runners are going to start coming in and changing tyres, which is going to be good for us. It's going to make it easier for us to work through the pack. We don't have to overtake so many people. We'll make a big dive on Ocon heading to turn 3. I thought better of trying to take out Tsunoda there, trying to get past him, but he gives us the space and just kind of gives us the position there, so we'll take it. And now we're in P5 behind the front runners, who have got a relatively good gap on us. So this is actually 1 lap after the overtake on Tsunoda, and the gap to the guys at the front hasn't changed, but their tyres are now starting to fall off. They're running long on the softs. We've got fresher mediums, and these mediums are now pretty much at their peak. So we've already gained, just in these few corners, we've already gained about a second on Gasly. So these guys will be looking to pit relatively soon. Ocon into the pits now. We go purple through sector 3, which is surprising because that's not our strongest part of the track. But purple through sector 3, it's a good sign for us if we can keep doing that for the rest of the race. So another lap or 2 down, and we're now within DRS of Gasly. We're now sitting P5. Sainz did have to jump into the pits. He was leading, so he went into the pits for a change of tyres, and that has helped him, his teammate, and Lando Norris as well, who all pitted to get fresh tyres, and now they're all setting fastest laps, one after the other. So they will have the pace to catch up to us if they can get past all the cars in the middle of the pack. We are now right behind these front running cars, right behind the front 4. They're all starting to lose pace. Their tyres will be starting to wear out a lot. We've got great grip around that corner, some good traction there, and we get Gasly relatively easily. And now we're right on the back of Verstappen in that Red Bull. He does have the front line speed, but it looks like him and Bottas now are both heading into the pits. So there's a couple of free overtakes for us. And now Perez is all on his own up the front. Gasly also into the pits. So 3 out of the top 4 are heading into the pits for new tyres. They're all on old softs, so they will probably be moving on to medium. Tsunoda moves up to 3rd. Schumacher up into P4. And there is a sizable gap there now, 5.5 seconds to Sonoda. So now it's us and Perez. Here's a big lock-up heading into turn 3, which will help us stay that little bit closer to him. That Red Bull has definitely more straight line speed than our car does, but we are faster than these guys through these corners, and we're able to overtake at some I would say slightly unorthodox areas of this track. Take the corner tight, we end up getting alongside Perez, maybe a little bit of contact there, I'm not sure, but he gives us the space and we go past. We are now leading this race. Good run through sector 3, a little bit wide there, but we managed to hold on. A good looking lap, and Perez is now into the pits. So that is all of the front runners into the pits now. They will all be on fresher tyres. Sonoda goes into the pits as well, which means Schumacher is going to step up into P2. It's now a 1-2 for Cross GT Racing, and the gap to Schumacher is over 7 seconds. So if all the other front runners that have been in the pits can all get held up, then we should be able to get a 1-2 here today. Sainz is back up into P5. He's going on to another set of softs. So he's going what looks to be a soft medium race today. He was on the softs to start. So he will be fast if he can get past Russell and Hamilton, and if he can also catch up to Schumacher, who is almost 3 seconds ahead of Hamilton. This is now another, I think, 1 or 2 laps on from when Schumacher moved into P2, and he's maintaining some good pace. He is a second slower than we are. We've gained a second on him, but his gap to Hamilton hasn't actually changed. In fact, I think it's grown slightly. I think he was 2.5 seconds ahead, and now he's sort of teetering on the edge of getting over 3 seconds ahead of him. So he has got some good pace as well. Sainz is closing in on those guys, but we are way out in front now, maintaining that same pace that we've been showing for the last few laps. Hamilton and Russell now heading into the pits, so that will put Sainz up into P3 on those soft tyres, on those fresh softs. Leclerc is also up there, and he's now P4, so it's Cross GT Racing 1-2, Sainz and Leclerc in the Ferraris P3 and P4, and then Norris rounds out the top 5 in his McLaren. But he does have Verstappen right on his tail, trying to make a bid to get back in the top 5 and get back into the serious points, which he does at turn 3. He does manage to get ahead, so he will now be trying to work his way up onto the podium and maintain his championship lead that he has. We are still way clear of Schumacher. We're still over, almost 8 seconds ahead, maintaining that same level of pace that we've had for the last few laps.
Push now.
As our pit window is now open, we'll be heading into the pits at the end of this lap. Schumacher heading into the pits right now to go on to his final set of medium tyres for the rest of this race. Leclerc is also in behind him. So one Cross GT Racing car and one Ferrari both into the pits this lap. I can only assume that that means Sainz will also be following me into the pits this lap, which will give Verstappen the lead of this Grand Prix. I don't know what strategy he's on. I'm not sure if he's got another stop left or if he's going to be running longer on those mediums. But we will have to wait and see as this race goes on. But Sainz is close. He's slowly closed the gap. He's 10 seconds behind. He was about 13 seconds behind, I think, Schumacher at one point. So he's gaining some time on those softs, but those softs will be wearing out, so we've managed to hold him off quite well. Into the pit lane we go. Full speed. Right down to the timing line, almost going over the line, but above the speed. We cannot afford a penalty here. Sainz is into the pits now. He's just come in. Verstappen is now just rounding the final corner. Quick pit stop here is needed. But we've let go of the clutch too early, and we've held ourselves up by about a second in the pits. Verstappen can now go around turn 1 full speed. We cannot. And even if we had that second, we still would have given Verstappen the lead. But now we are 1.5 seconds behind, out of DRS range, and now we have to try and claw our way back behind him on our own. Although we do go purple through Sector 3, which is a good sign for us. 1 lap after coming out of the pits. The tyres hopefully be warmed up quite a bit by now. We should be able to get some really good lap times in. Absolutely rinsing the battery this race, trying to stay ahead of Verstappen, and now we're going to be using it to try and catch up. So this is going to be pretty tough next 11 laps, but it is 11 laps. We only have to gain what, bit over like a tenth and a half a lap on Verstappen to make sure we can catch up to him before the end, which is doable. His tyres are going to be wearing out a lot more than ours right now. He's been running longer, so we should hopefully be able to catch up and hopefully overtake him and take the win. I don't know if he's got to come into the pits at all anytime soon, but we're just going to try and keep the pressure on him until then. We've gained a couple of tenths on that previous lap to Verstappen, so hopefully we can maintain that pace and keep closing in. We're not quite within DRS range, which is what we need, especially with the straight line speed that Red Bull has. We really need every advantage we can get, but we're doing a good job so far of keeping up with them. We've broken DRS to Gasly, so which is the main thing. Verstappen pulling away slightly on the straights. We're gaining on him in the corners. We've got Gasly in our mirrors, but he's too far back to make a move. If we can keep him out of DRS range, that will just make our job that little bit easier trying to catch up to Verstappen as we round through Sector 2.
It looks like we might have an issue. Hang in there, we're attempting to manage it.
Ah, for the second week in a row, Jeff, how do we have another potential issue? We've got a brand new control electronics part in the car, and the other components are only two races old, and we now have another potential issue. Hopefully it's only something minor and we can carry on, because we are slowly gaining on Verstappen. We really need this one.
Okay, looks like a mechanical failure. We're going to have to ask you to find a safe spot to retire. Sorry about that. Again, find somewhere safe to
And
stop.
just like last round, another mechanical failure. We do spin at turn 3. Not that it matters, although Schumacher is coming up behind us, so we kind of need to get off the track as soon as we don't hold him up. We move out of the way. Schumacher goes by. He's now P4, and we, for the second race in a row, are out of the session, having to retire due to a mechanical failure. Two of our strongest tracks, and we were on for 2 really good results, and just turned to disappointment twice in a row.
Brilliant stuff from Red Bull today. What a superb victory. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
And this is a scene I did not want to see. Max Verstappen, to the delight of the fans here at the home of Red Bull, takes the win in Austria and increases his lead on the driver's standings by another 25 points. Michael Schumacher, another great result, finishes P4, another 12 points to his name. He's in some really good form at the moment, so it's really good to see him get back to form right before the mid-season break. We, on the other hand, out of this race, mechanical failure, 0 points, and we have to watch Max increase, put a little bit of a stranglehold on the championship. He's now 48 points clear Perez, after his poor result here today, has dropped from P3 down to P5. Bottas now from P3, 9 points behind us. So he's jumped Perez. Gasly's also done the same. So the middle of the standings is starting to tighten up, but Max Verstappen, the only driver in triple figures right now. We should be up there, but unfortunately some reliability issues have put a dampener on that one. For the constructors, no change at the top. 75-point lead for Red Bull now. Not as big as it would have been thanks to Schumacher's 12 points here today. Mercedes do end up overtaking McLaren, however, after Bottas finishing, I think he finished P3 today. So great result from him to get the team up into P4. Ferrari still sitting behind us in P3, 9 points behind us now, so they're closing the gap to us. So constructors might be a little bit too far afield for us, but the drivers, we're still battling for the drivers, but it's just going to be a pretty interesting rest of the season as we head off into the mid-season break now. Hopefully we can recharge the old battery, you know, get back into the right mindset. Hopefully the car will be better when we come back from the break, as we get ready for round 9, heading off to Silverstone, the home of Formula 1, in a race where I am extremely confident we can get a win. The last 2 seasons we've shown how dominant we are there. We did have a retirement mechanical failure in season 2 when we were miles out in front. We were leading that, we were dominant there. Season 3, dominant again, we took the win. So hopefully we can do the same and we can start clawing back the championship from Verstappen's grasp. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. Let me know in the comments what you thought. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you guys all after the mid-season break when we come back to Formula 1. Round 9 at Silverstone. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.